what I learned is Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, meaning if you get started young enough and you let the power of compound interest in your investments go to work for you, then after about 15, 20 years, it just becomes turbocharged and you can become a millionaire, even on a fairly modest income. So, what I've
$5 a day, or even less than that.
That's the exact figure that I was calculating. How'd you know that?
Well, I was just working on a script to try to figure out how to reach children or adults, right, that have kids. And exactly that. If you start the day they're born and you get them in that first 18 years going, so you're not doing that when you're starting at 20, then the supercharge just starts at age 20 when everyone else is probably not even starting yet.
Yeah. Well, and
how do you get that out and tell people?
Well, by things like the conversation we're having right now, and the figure I came up with was $150 a month, which is $5
$5 a day. Yeah.
And if the long-term stock market, it returns about 10% a year if you just put it in a nice, safe index fund. And if you start in investing $150 a month, after I wrote down the numbers, after 15 years, you'd have $67,000. That's pretty good. But after 30 years, you would have $339,000. And once you get a little older and make a little more money, you can invest more than that $5 a day. Maybe you could invest $10 a day. And all of a sudden, you're going to be a millionaire before you know it. And that's the message that I love to share with people, that even if you have a fairly modest income, if you are disciplined and if you start young enough, and if you do it on a consistent basis, pay yourself first. We always talk about, instead of paying off your bills, instead of going out to eat with your friends, if you just put that money aside for yourself, you're going to be a millionaire before you know it. And to me, and I don't mean this to sound crass, but you get freedom once you have some financial security. Until you have that financial security, you're always beholden to other people, whether it's your employer or the government or whoever. Now you can have some freedom over your life. And to me, there are few gifts more powerful than that.
And you learned about compounding interest in that book, what was it called? The 8 Seeds?
Well, the book was called The 10 Seeds of Greatness, and that was about goal setting. But I really started researching it myself. I'd go to the library, and all I knew was I wanted my family to have more than what I had when I was a kid. Because, we'd have our electric cut off and our phone would be cut off and all that stuff. And I didn't want to raise a family with those kinds of pressures. And so I started researching it myself. And I have, long said that if I wasn't a radio talk show host, I would love to be a very specific kind of financial advisor. And that's one who works with parents and their kids and just get not only this message out there, but to start developing a plan so that, if somebody's got a summer job, where they can just put away half their paycheck and then, have fun with the other half. If you start doing that when you're 13, 14 years old, you're going to be amazed at how free you will be before you know it.
Yeah, it's so funny you did the $5 like I did. I was just, as I was working on my numbers, if you can start this for your children when they're born, and then my figures around Dory's too, I did a 7% interest, but when they're 18, they have, around the $60,000. But let's say that child continues to invest on their own, the $5 a day until normal retirement age, they will have over $2 million. Whereas a normal person, I think, starts investing around age 30, they're going to have the $60,000 to $200,000 maybe. So it's amazing the difference. And a stat I found just fascinating as I was doing this was that it was out of University of Cambridge, is that they found that money habits in children are formed by the time they're 7 years old.
Oh,
that
boy.
just was staggering. I thought, like, oh my gosh, I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old and I already missed it, right? Like, but they're just watching us. They're watching whatever they're around. Yep. But I love that, Dory, that you want to be like a family and with the children and help them invest. And if someone could go out to our local schools and talk in the high schools or even junior high, like it would be, I just got lucky. You were so smart, Dory, to go in and read and do this on your own. Like most people don't have that, whatever that is inside to find that. I just happened to fall into a class at age 22 and everyone around me was 50 and they were freaking out. And I was like, oh, I guess I better start this now. Right. So, good on you for doing that. But, it's phenomenal once people understand it. It could change your life and your whole generational wealth, right? For your family.
Absolutely. And I'll give you another example of the power of starting early. I'm not a big fan of many, maybe most government programs, but the state of Washington has what's called the GET program, which is prepaid college tuition. And my wife and I started doing that when our 3 daughters were born. And college tuition, it can be really imposing for parents. It's intimidating because how are you going to come up with, the $40,000 a year? And if you have 3 kids like we have, but we started when they were born and we started putting away a couple $100 a month. And by the time they were 18, because of that power of starting early, my wife and I were able to prepay our kids in-state college tuition. And so in so many aspects of our life, whether it's investing for ourselves, getting our kids college tuition going, or like you're talking about, Stacey, about getting your kids just into that mentality at an early age. All of those things help build a foundation for us to take control of our own lives. And I think ultimately that's what we're all looking for. We want to have some control over our lives and not feel like we're some cork in the river that just goes wherever the current takes us.
Yep.
And that's my message is, Keith, you can take control of your life.